Welcome to King of Catan, episode number 4. My name is Treeckosaurus and I'm your host today. For this series we have actually a very special one because Treeckosaurus is playing as purple. For the series, for the purpose of this video, I'll just call him Treeckosaurus. And we have very good opponents assembled. Ortex, very experienced player in King of Catan already. He's played close to 10 series already. One of you as well. And Hawkeye is, he has above 1200 elo, and in a competitive Catan group he wins, a lot of games, to be honest. Like, it's the saying, we blocked him all game but he still won. I've seen that before, a lot of times before. And PVR, quite an experienced player on Catan Universe and in Catanio as well, and I'm looking forward what he can bring to the table. Hawkeye picked first and he went for the 8-4-3 with the double up on ore, and I think the reasoning behind that is that there's not a lot of ore on the board, the 8-4-3, so picking the 8 makes a lot of sense here. And I think it's actually a debate why he would want to go for the 4 instead of the 10, is that there is a lot of wheat on the board and he might expect to get, I don't think he expects to get the 5, 9, 10 at the top of the map, but he might expect to get either the 3, 11, 6 in the middle with the wheat and the sheep, or the 11, 9, 4. Or maybe he expects to be able to build on the 8, on either the 8-10 or the 3-10, which is aligned to this spot, by picking up the other resources he needs for settlement but wheat. So we're gonna look at that. So he thinks for sure that ore is a valuable resource on this map, and I don't disagree with him. We see that a lot of high elo players value ore and wheat as the most important resources. And Hawkeye does for sure as well. At least he values ore as a really important resource. I personally would have made a more safe play and went for the 8-10-3, but I'm not as good in the game as Hawkeye is, so maybe he's... So I assume he makes a correct play here, but we'll see how it turns out. There are a lot of other good spots on the map, like the 5, 9, 10 I mentioned at the top of the map. There are also in the bottom of the map the 9 wheat, 6 brick, 3 ore spot. And I think lumber is quite rare on this board as well. It does have okay numbers, like 8, 5, 4 and 12. 12 is pretty bad, of course. And 4 isn't that reliable, but the 5 is in the bottom end bordered by a sand tile, so that makes this 8 really valuable, which is also in a corner, so there aren't 6 spots surrounding this tile, only 4 I think, yes, only 4. So, and there can be a maximum of 2, I'm counting out the coast spot with the 3-to-1 port, of course. But like, you can not really make great spots out of it with 3 resource gaining tiles. Okay, so PVR decides the brick, 5 brick, 10 sheep, 9 wheat is the best spot to pick as his first settlement. So Treeckosaurus is picking third, which is by a lot of players seen as the best option to pick from, because it is very versatile. So a lot of players here decide to go for the rarest resource, and that means picking a resource that, it's obvious, it's a rare on the board, but you take a look at what are the others supposed to picking. So Treeckosaurus decides, okay, there is this 9-6-3 at the bottom of the map, there's the 4-6-11 at the top of the map with the same resources. So he assumes Artix isn't going to pick both. And I think that makes sense. Although having good wheat and good ore makes up for a pretty okay strategy, but in this case the ore is lacking a little bit. You would have really good wheat then, so Treeckosaurus might pick up the best strategy with this. I could see a strategy happening with the 11-5-4 in the middle of the map with either of these spots, but then there's still one open, so that's what I mean with picking the rarest resource. Treeckosaurus decides that the 4-8 for the lumber, especially this 8 lumber, is the rarest, or maybe even the 10 sheep. Yeah, I didn't mention that before, but the sheep has really rare numbers on this board. The 10, 11, 3 and 2 aren't ideal. So that also makes this 6, 3, 11 a lot better, because you double up on sheep. With 3 and 11 you combined, you have a pretty okay resource gain. So Artix decides to go for the 8-10 with the lumber port, and he settles on the best ore to combine it with the resources he needs for to get all 5 resources. He's lacking a little bit on sheep, and maybe his wheat gain isn't enough either, so his strongest resource gain is on paper are ore and brick. Okay, that's really interesting. So I don't think ore and brick really combine really well. But this way you do make a pretty okay strategy. I wonder how something like 9-6-3 with 8-10 would have gone. Fortunately we can't see it, so Treeckosaurus is deciding between the 9-6-3 at the bottom and the 4-6-11, and decides to go for the 6-9-3 at the bottom of the map. I think the reasoning behind that is that the 4-8 he gains from lumber and the 6 he gains from brick synergize well, and also his spots are quite close to each other. So I think we're going to see a longest road attempt by Treeckosaurus. And I think you can also safely say that Hawkeye is going for a development card strategy because of the double ore he picked up. And I don't really see a spot where he can generate wheat, sheep. Oh, of course there's no spot where he can generate lumber, wheat and brick. At least I don't see one. But first let's see what PBR is going to decide. So to complete all 5 resources he needs ore and lumber. He could do that at the 8-3, which would be pretty downside for Treeckosaurus, but I assume there are better spots on this map. For example, is it worth it to just settle on this 8? Okay, he goes for the 6-12-11. Okay, that's really interesting. So maybe he says, okay, I pick up a free road with this and go to the 4-11 so I can pick up all resources. There we have it. We have the settlements confirmed, and PBR is the second to roll. Hawkeye just rolled the 6, I think, or the 9 it was. Yeah, it was a 9. PBR rolls a 7. So let's see who he thinks should be blocked at the start of the game. The 8 ore looks like a great candidate, but he decides to block Artix and Treeckosaurus on the lumber. Maybe he's trying to get a resource he needs. Maybe he tries to get lumber from Artix, since he is the only one who picked up lumber with his second settlement, besides PBR. And Artix also rolled a 7, so we're going to see this rubber removed real quickly. This could go to the 6, yes, the 6 wheat. where Hawkeye and PBR gain a lot of wheat from. Especially for Hawkeye, this is very difficult, since he's quite dependent on this 6 wheat. He picks up double ore and he picks up double sheep, but you also need wheat for the development card. He did pick up one from his second settlement, so maybe he is able to use that for a development card and remove this rubber. Okay, Artex could build a road, so that means PBR didn't pick up the lumber from that. As PBR rolls a 6 again, which now the rubber is on the other 6, so Treeckosaurus only picks up a brick. And another 9 roll, a lot of 9 rolls at the start of the game. Really interesting. Giving wheat to PBR and Treeckosaurus. Treeckosaurus is offering wheat here. It's really interesting, and that Artex is actually the one who needs it, since Hawkeye is blocked from wheat. So then we can assume Hawkeye still has wheat in his hand, because he would need it for sure to get this rubber removed. So Treeckosaurus is considering getting a development card here. He's at 7 resources, so this is quite a risky move. And Artex rolled a 7, which removes the rubber from the 6 wheat. I think Hawkeye is quite happy with that, and he decides to rob Treeckosaurus here and blocks the 6 brick. That's interesting. Hawkeye also rolled a 7. So there are some options here, and he decides to block the 4 lumber by Treeckosaurus and Artex. So King of Catan has its second season just announced. At the moment of commentating this is the 17th of July, which is the day the second season also started. And what's really interesting about this, okay, this is something I want to interrupt it for. PBR decided he needed an extra road to go to the brick board, since he picks up double brick. Okay, that's pretty interesting, especially considering he doesn't gain lumber that easily. So he thinks, okay, I need this this brick board to win the game, and I'm going for it. Treeckosaurus is actually offering double lumber here. Oh no, trying to get double lumber, but that was quite difficult to get. Also another 7 roll by Artex. So what I wanted to say is that King of Catan had his second season announced today, and that means there are actually playoffs coming up. This series was played before, it was still played in season 1, so this is not actually qualification match for these playoffs. But some of the upcoming episodes will be, and also I'll try to get the playoffs, including the semi-finals and the grand final uploaded on this channel. Maybe I'll have to make sure I qualify for the grand final to get that done, but we'll have a look. So no city or settlement built yet. Treeckosaurus is able to get a development card now. He's trying to offer a trade here. Okay, he gets the development card and picks up Monopoly. Okay. Monopoly is, in my opinion, the strongest. Monopoly is, in my opinion, the strongest development card you can get, because it has the upside of generating resources you want in a specific moment, and also eliminating your opponent's strategies, which does the knight as well. But Monopoly can really make a one-turn push that can put you over the edge, so Treeckosaurus is probably picking it up, and he could make a 4-to-1 trade here. But he could also offer something, so let's see what he is going to decided to do. Okay, he trades 4 for 1 for ore and gets another development card. This time he picks up Year of Plenty. An 11 roll by Artix, effectively picking up some sheep, and the other 11 gains ore for PBR. Hawkeye also received sheep. Artix is at 9 resources, so he's either looking to make a trade or get something done this turn. Or maybe he gambles on not being a 7 roll. That is in my opinion, a possibility you should consider, and I think more players should consider that as a viable option in certain circumstances. I don't think Artix is in that circumstance yet, because no one is really winning at the moment. Well, maybe Treeckosaurus already picked up 2 development cards. Hawkeye also got a development card now, which might have been quite difficult for him since he lacks the wheat gain. Or maybe he tried to save up for a city. His PBR rolls another 5, which puts him at 9 resources. He's trying to get break for wheat. No one seems to bite. Actually wants brick and sheep. As he makes a 4 for 1 trade for 4 brick for lumber, and it's Treeckosaurus roll again. He rolls a 2, so no resources handed out. Treeckosaurus has the resources available for a settlement, but no spot yet, as he builds a road towards the 3-to-1 port, and that would double up on the 8 lumber for him. So I think he has a bunch of options to go here. He could have gone for the 3-to-1 port with the 10 sheep. I think it's the correct decision to pick the 8 lumber here over the 10, because 8 gets rolled more than 10, so I think that's correct. And also if the 8 gets blocked, you still can pick up all the resources you need, as Artix is offering double wheat for ore, but maybe PBR is interested. Hawkeye and Treeckosaurus denied the trade. Treeckosaurus had also the option to double up on the ore with the wheat port. Didn't go for it. Okay, Artix trades 4 brick in for an ore. Can he build something? No, he sticks with 9 resources and takes the gamble. And the knight used by Hawkeye to the 5 brick. As Hawkeye picks up another knight. Maybe he didn't block Treeckosaurus here because Treeckosaurus has 2 development cards in his hand. I don't think he's sure yet what options could be available for Treecko yet. And Treeckosaurus is the second to build a settlement. I missed the settlement build by PBR here, which is huge for him. Unless his 5 brick is blocked, then it's pretty difficult for him, because he would be dependent on the 11 brick to exchange resources. And he also built on 4 ore, so now he is technically able to gain all resources, but we won't see a lot of lumber gain. Another pass by Hawkeye. PBR offers wheat for ore. No one really offers ore. Trade doesn't seem to go down. As we will see what PBR decides to do next. He has 7 resources in hand. He could take the gamble of not having a 7 rolled, and he does. 5 roll, but Treeckosaurus doesn't generate any resources. He offers double lumber for ore, and this is pretty interesting because lumber is pretty rare on this map. But the players all deny it. Treeckosaurus hands in 3 lumber for an ore and uses the Year of Plenty to pick up 2 ore so he can build the city. And now it gets interesting. Does he build on the 9-6-3 or the 4-8-10? I would assume the 9. Okay, Treeckosaurus decides to go for the 4-8-10. I don't know if this is the correct move though. You would assume building on the resource, the spot that generates wheat and ore is the better one to upgrade, but Treeckosaurus decides, okay, this lumber is so rare that getting more of it will generate me great trades, which I can use for these resources I need. So maybe that will work. And he also still has the monopoly, so maybe he doesn't need the ore. And Ortix upgraded his 8-10 spot to a city. PBR rolled a 7 and got punished for keeping his cards. Or maybe he had no decision and he just had to keep his 7 cards. Hawkeye also upgraded his settlement to a city. The Treeckosaurus leads at the moment in effective resource gain. And we see a 7 roll by the man I just mentioned. As he decides to block the 5. Okay, Treeckosaurus does have good brick gain, so that makes his brick a little bit more valuable, and he also blocks a often rolled number, which is really important to PBR strategy. Hawkeye rolled the 5, so nothing happens with this rubber being there. PBR decides this 8 lumber should be blocked. As a 3 rolled, so Treeckosaurus picks up an ore and Hawkeye 3 sheep. And now the 5 roll actually works. And with that 5 roll, Hawkeye is able to, Ortix is able to build a settlement at the 11-9. And PBR rolls a 7. The second in a row. Let's see what he will decide to do. Could choose to block the 9 where Treeckosaurus and Ortix are settled on. Yes, he does. And he picks up an ore from Treeckosaurus. As he's offering lumber for wheat. PBR decides he needs a road and he needs to go to... I assume he wants to go to the 3-1 port. Okay. Another 7, this time by Hawkeye. Let's see where he will decide to rob. He has blocked the 4 lumber, this 4 lumber so far, and the 5 brick as well. But decides he needs to block the 4. And I think that makes sense since Ortix and Treeckosaurus have the most amount of resource gain. And lumber is quite rare. And 4 also just got rolled, so it was a very effective block. PBR is looking for wheat, maybe he's looking to make a trade with Hawkeye? Maybe not. Okay. He's offering ore for it. Maybe not targeting Hawkeye here. Okay. Ortix is the one who had wheat. As PBR built the city at a 5, 9, 10, so really effective trade for him. 6 rolls, so Hawkeye and PBR picked up wheat. The Treeckosaurus picked up a brick. Okay, so it's Treeckosaurus' turn and he's looking at the resources. So with this monopoly in hand, which the other players don't know about, I think they assume this is a victory point. Okay, he decides to pass up on it. Maybe he wanted to get the wheat, because specifically looking at the 6 roll by PBR and the 5 roll by Artix. And Hawkeye has decisions to make, because he has 12 resources in hand. From the resources he has available, we can safely assume he has ore and wheat and sheep. And he trades 4 sheep for wheat so he can build a city at the 6-3-11, and PBR built a settlement at the 3-1 So now he's able to convert his resources into the ones he needs, and I think he would like to get a little bit more ore. Treeckosaurus rolls a 7 for the block on the 5. And he tries to build a road at either to double up on the 6 or get the wheat board with the 3 brick, as he decides the 6 is the one I need to double up on, as it gets rolled more often than the 3 on average. And I think we also need to keep in mind that Treeckosaurus will try to get the longest road. 9 roll by PBR, so there's a lot of wheat in the game, and there's even more wheat in the game. So maybe this plan by Treeckosaurus to use the monopoly now is effective? No? Okay, he still passes up on it. Even more wheat gain. Also double brick gain by Treeckosaurus as the 6 rolled, so the settlement paid off immediately. Artix cut off Hawkeye with this road towards the 3 sheep, 10 wheat. Hawkeye has decisions to make again, but can't go for ore this time, or go for a city this time, since he doesn't have any settlements to upgrade. I wonder if Artix is also considering getting the longest road. With 2 resources, he does have that possibility. But he can still be blocked by Hawkeye. Hawkeye makes a trade for lumber. Oh, excuse me, he got some development cards. And PBR rolls a 7, so Treeckosaurus has to hand in 4 resources. Let's see what he decides to do. Okay, he decides he needs a city next. Or development cards, but I assume a city, since he isn't really on the development card gameplay. And decides to block the 5 over the 6 next to it. And picks up a brick. And passes on to Artix. There's a 3 rolled. So a lot of sheep picked up by Hawkeye. And another 6 roll. A development card by Hawkeye. And another development card. And another development card. And another development. Holy cow. 4 development cards by Hawkeye, as he has 7 cards in hand right now. I assume we're going to see one of them played this turn. Yes, we're going to see the knight. If he activates one as well next turn, he gets 2 additional victory points with the biggest army. Treeckosaurus gets robbed by PBR again. As he picks up some brick, and PBR and Hawkeye picked up a bunch of wheat. Let's see what will happen here. Treeckosaurus is maybe offering a trade. I don't know what he's going. Okay, he's going to trade 3 for 1, so he can build either a road. Okay, he's actually trying to get ore. And passes up on the turn. So staying with 6 resources in hand. and a 10 roll. So if the 7 rolls now, PBR and Treeckosaurus have to hand in some resources. Artix is offering 2 wheat and a lumber for double ore. Maybe he's targeting Treeckosaurus or Hawkeye with this trade. Actually making pretty good offers, but it seems like all players deny him. Knight used by Hawkeye. So he is at least at 6 victory points right now, and he picks up another development card. A lot of resources in the game. Artix has 9, Hawkeye has 5, PBR has 10, and Treeckosaurus has 13, I believe. This PBR picks up a development card of his own. Which gets him below the... Okay, trades in a bunch of wheat for a road. A 6 roll, so there's a lot of wheat in the game. We still know Artix had at least 2. Treeckosaurus is considering. I know there's a lot of ore in the game as well. And some bricks. Well, the bricks are mainly gained by Treeckosaurus. Yeah, I see a double ore by Hawkeye and a lot of wheat, and Treeckosaurus has a bunch of resources himself in his hand as well. He's able to connect the road. Okay, he decides to pull the trigger on the monopoly and gets wheat. Holy cow, that's a bunch of wheat. 11 wheat picked up by this monopoly. And he's able to build on the wheat board. So he can use this wheat more effectively by trading in 2 for 1. As he wants to build a city, which puts him at 7 victory points. And he still has a lot to do. Maybe you could connect the longest road. He needs 3 roads for that, so then he would need to hand in 4 wheat and use his lumber and brick. He might also decide to go for a settlement. I think he's also able to build a city if he hands in 3 brick and double wheat. Okay, tries to get lumber, so we might see the longest road or the settlement game plan. Let's see, it looks like he's going for the settlement at the 2-6, yes he does. And an explosive turn. He has Treeckosaurus and maybe Hawkeye as well. We don't know how many victory points he has in his hand or what cards could be there. And Artix warns PBR that he needs to get the longest road up, otherwise Treeckosaurus will win the game, but PBR has the problem that he only has 1 resource card. Treeckosaurus only needs 1 more road for the victory right now. Hawkeye decides to block the 6, which makes a lot of sense with the 3-to-1 board. If the 6 rolls, he gets 4 bricks, so he could trade 3 for 1 for lumber, which would give him that road. 11 roll and a 7 roll by Treeckosaurus, as he blocks the 5 and decides to rob PBR. Interesting to see that he doesn't decide to block Hawkeye here. Maybe try to get a certain resource. I don't think so. So it's Artix's turn and he built a city at the 11-5-4. Treeckosaurus is trying to put the attention on Hawkeye by saying how many victory points does Hawkeye have. He at least has a monopoly, which gets Treeckosaurus brick. buys a development card to see what he gets. So that's quite of an expert play. First see what you get from the development cards, and then because I assume he will trade in his brick 4-1 because he still has 6 brick in his hand. So first see what you get from the development card and then decide further, because you never know. If you pick up a road building, you don't want to build this road for example. Knight used by PBR. I assume Treeckosaurus will be blocked at the 6. And Treeckosaurus has 5 sheep in his hand right now. A lot of options for him to win the game. Let's see what PBR will decide to do. Maybe he can take the longest. Okay, he actually goes for a settlement. And Treeckosaurus rolls the 4, so he picks up this lumber and he can trade 3-for-1 for brick, so he can build the 5th road and get the longest road. And that will wrap up the game. And Treeckosaurus was victorious in this matchup against Hawkeye, PBR and Artix. I think very well played by all players. I think this was the game with the highest level so far on the channel. So I'm happy to bring that out. That's also why I was hyped for episode number 4, as I mentioned before. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one as well, which will actually not be recorded by Treeckosaurus for a time. So I don't have to mention for the purpose of this video, I'll just call him Treeckosaurus because Treeckosaurus won't be in the game. Okay, thank you for watching, and hope to see you on the next one.